Hi, everybody. I am Leslie Nunnery with Teach Them Diligently, and this morning we will be welcoming Sherri Seligson into the Museum of the Bible Speaker Spotlight. These spotlights are a fantastic opportunity for you to get to know our speakers a little bit before you hear them speak on site. And I know that you will find Sherri to be just a joy. So without further ado, let me introduce Sherri Seligson. Sherri, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, how many children you have, at what stage of homeschooling you are? I already know, but they need to know. So welcome to the spotlight.
Well, thank you. Yes, we have 4 children, and we have homeschooled for 21 years. Just graduated our youngest child a year ago. So I am a homeschool mom graduate as well. And so I'm navigating the new world of having all grown children and helping them to navigate college and life and marriage and all kinds of things. So it's been quite a journey. It's been interesting to see homeschooling, the face of homeschooling, change over the years since we began, and very excited to see so many amazing things that are available to homeschoolers now as compared to the Stone Age when I started.
I can imagine. Well, just for the sake of interest, since you've been doing it for so long, how did you get into it? Because 21 years ago, like you alluded to, there weren't the resources, there weren't the groups, there weren't all the things that we enjoy today. How did the Lord lead you into this?
It was truly the Lord that led us into this, because it made absolutely no sense for us to do this. Our neighbors, family, friends, most of them thought we were kind of crazy, but we're used to being crazy. We were kind of against the grain anyway. But we felt that God was calling us to do it. We had been exposed to a couple of families who had been homeschooling for a couple of years. We were intrigued. We were amazed at the maturity and the character that their children had, as well as how, the first question we all get as homeschoolers is socialization. And these kids were amazing. The way they addressed adults, the way they were able to talk to children of multiple ages. And, if you've been homeschooling for any length of time or around homeschoolers, you know that instantly. So we wanted, obviously, God's best for our children. And we felt like God was calling us to do this thing that we really, really were nervous about doing. And so I thought, well, I can't ruin preschool. My oldest was just entering preschool. I thought, let's just do a practice year of just playing and some kind of organization and using the library. And then I thought, well, I can't ruin kindergarten. And then it went from that year by year. And God was very faithful. Many challenges, but just God was very faithful to get us through that journey.
Isn't he always? It's amazing to me how much he grows us as moms through this journey, as well as the incredible leaps and bounds we see in our children. But I would ask you, what is your background? I have talked to some who are trained as educators. I have talked to many who are not. But I know that your background really leads into what you're doing now, what projects you're working on, and I would love to hear about that a little bit.
Okay, and actually this is kind of a testimony to me to encourage you moms out there, because I left the workforce when we had our first child, and I was a marine biologist. I worked at Walt Disney World's Living Seas Pavilion and Epcot Center. It was really a fun job. It was not all fun and games, but it was a wonderful job. I love science, that's my background, and so everybody thought I was crazy to leave that to be a full-time mom. And I, again, felt like God was calling me to do that. And then, then I wondered, would I waste all of that time, the education, the time spent there? I just instantly dove into, no pun intended, but encouraging other homeschool families in science. We would do field trips. I would teach science classes out of our home. And everybody thought, well, you just have it all together then because you know science, so you're good to go. But when it comes to things like poetry and writing, and I felt totally out of my strength set. So I think we all understand and can identify that lack of, oh no, I'm not prepared enough. Even teachers, certified teachers I talk with through homeschool also feel that. They feel like they don't have training in everything. And God's so gracious to give us the opportunities and set the stage to give us what our children need when they need them, whether it's co-op classes or groups. And so through that journey of teaching and continuing to pursue science, I love talking about helping students and families to see God in science, not to be afraid of science. Oftentimes we're afraid that evolution thing going on, and that all these very intelligent people who are scientists seem to say, well, evolution is a fact. And I like to help show from a scientific standpoint how there's so much evidence, clear-cut evidence, that evolution has major problems.
Right.
And so I love to share that. I love to teach science and show that excitement to students. So working with Apologia Educational Ministries, I was able to write their curriculum for high school for marine biology. Also doing instructional DVD courses for general biology, human anatomy, and this year chemistry is coming out.
Yay.
And I love to teach those things to students, helping them to see from a different angle, from different perspectives. And we use videos, and we go on location places. And we have more projects coming in the works. So it's been a blessing to see how God has opened those doors from me quitting my job to get a promotion as a mom. And then how God has used all of that for me to continue to serve the homeschool community.
Yeah, God always seems to use what he's already put in your hand if you will just allow him. And it's so exciting to see, particularly when I talk with someone who has already really traveled the road that I am on. You have traveled and gotten your graduation certificate. And so we can see so clearly how he equipped you for every step of the way. But another thing that you said that means a lot to me is we are not all equipped to handle everything equally. And that's why God puts us in groups. The body of Christ is uniquely suited for some to be the hand, some to be the neck, some to be the science, some to be the history, some to be the literature. But if we try to cut ourselves off too much, I think we're really missing out on some tremendous blessings of just the community of believers that God has put together.
I completely agree. We would do ourselves a huge disservice if we isolate ourselves. And that's why I love conferences like Teach Them Diligently, where it's just totally bathed in prayer. God is center of everything. The encouragement is you can just talk to anybody. You can walk up to a person you don't even know, and instantly you have a connection because you already have a similar worldview, a heart for your kids, family-oriented, and you want the best for them. And so you can just start talking, and I love that. And I think that's encouragement for us as well. Everybody, even if you're starting kindergarten this year, teaching kindergarten for the first time, you have people behind you that you can encourage in there. When the younger kids, you have people ahead of you that you can learn from. We all have that ability to be ministered to and to minister. And so that's why I'm so excited about conferences like Teach Them Diligently and being a part of, continuing to be a part of the homeschool community so that we can be a body and actually be the body of Christ to each other as we train our children.
So you will be speaking 4 times in Nashville. I'm about to I'm about to start the Atlanta schedule today. So can you give us a little bit of some hints of what people can expect from your sessions? Your titles are fantastic and your descriptions are great. So if you can give us just a little hint before we go.
Sure, really quickly. The first one is, what do I want to be when I grow up? Giving our kids a vision for the future. And I think that we don't consider the power that we have as parents to help encourage and lift up our children in the skill sets that they have. Each one is different. You know, when we graduated our first child, everybody's like, oh, well, you've got it all figured out now. And let me tell you, every single one, we had to reinvent the wheel with each of our children, I'm sure you know. And so, which is great. It keeps us on our knees. It keeps us asking the Lord, and God provides what we need when we need it. So I'm hoping to encourage parents to identify in their kids where they see strengths, speak those strengths into them, help them to discover and explore from a younger age without the pressure of I've got to have a major or a decision by the time I'm 12 or 15 or 18. But as you gradually go along the way with them, you help them get that vision for what God has for them, to where that transition is easier, hopefully, for them. They can see their strengths. And then the power of words for our children is another one, which I think kind of slides into that one easily. We have such a power over our kids to lift them up, or to bring them down, or to tear them down as women, as wives in our household. And this talk is just such an encouraging talk. I get so excited about it because I think that we all feel God is empowering us when we when we realize that we just, I love you, honey, or you just did a great job today, or that was so sweet. Things like that, the power that that has through the years for your kids. And then, am I ruining my children is one that I think we all feel like, oh no, I'm really ruining them. And that's more of an encouragement of the nuts and bolts and what I have seen really matter in our homeschool journey for our kids, what we should be teaching them, those concerns about gaps, the things that we need to do that we all are concerned about, just to help walk everybody off the cliff a little bit as we go. And then the last one, of course, we're going to talk about science. So amazing creatures that defy evolutionary theory. I love talking about the unique features that organisms have and how those are huge red flags in evolutionary theory. And I think that that's a talk for children, adults, parents, everybody, because it's just a fun one. Lots of video, lots of action, excitement, I think, because I get a little excited when I talk about science. But it hopefully gets everybody, even people who don't love science, just to be founded that, God indeed leaves his fingerprints and we see evidences of his creation just by staring at a beautiful sunset and knowing what that means from a scientific standpoint.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I have heard you speak a few times, and every time that I walk away, and I'm one that doesn't love science. I have outsourced science to our co-op every year because that's a good thing for me to do. But every time I hear you speak, I come away with a spiritual nugget that I am able to chew on for a very long time. I've heard you speak on water. I've heard you speak on other topics. And when you bring the science in and then tie it to a spiritual truth, it is an amazing and profound thing. And I appreciate that in the way that you speak so much. And I thank you for being here with us. I can't wait to see you in Nashville in a couple of weeks.
I'm very excited. I really am. And I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Good. Well, everybody else, thank you for joining us. We will see you soon on another speaker spotlight piece. But make sure you plan to hear Sherri Seligson or look her up at the Apologia booth when you're at Teach Them Diligently. And also make sure you check out the Museum of the Bible booth. They're going to have some really interesting things in there. So until next time, thank you so much. Bye.